Yeah, they did release the PS5 Pro. Oh boy. Oh, they have a line in it. That's me, not you. Sorry. PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. They put some disclaimer there. I'll go back and read that. High frame rate? Wow, 120. Okay, that's awesome. That's actually pretty fucking good. Yeah, I mean, that looks okay to me. I don't know. What do y'all think? What does this say here? Feature only available on select PS5 games that have been enhanced for PS5 Pro when compared to PS5. PS5 Pro features will vary by game. Yeah, sure. So yeah, PS5 Pro gets announced. It's like, what? They said it's like $700 or something like that, right? Yeah, it's $700. That's a lot of fucking money for a console. Like, I feel like this is one of the most expensive consoles that's ever been released. I remember when the Dreamcast came out and it was like super expensive and people went crazy about it. And then the PS3 was really expensive. People went crazy about it. So when I think about this, $700 for something like this, that's nuts, man. Like, that's a lot of fucking money. Yeah, 780 with no disc. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely buy one, right? I mean, for sure, right? But that's because, if you know, my job. And so otherwise, I don't know if I would. Without a disc drive, what the fuck? That is weird. Why do they not have they don't have a disc drive in this? Oh my god. Yeah, technical present. I'm not going to go all the way in on this, but I'll just look at some.
Ray tracing allows for dramatic visual improvements, including reflections off of water or glass.
There's no way this is...
And the realism that comes from real-time global illumination.
Yeah.
A custom SSD can load data at breathtaking speed, resulting in ultra-fast transitions between game worlds. And data streaming rates so high that traversal speeds are essentially unlimited.
You okay? I'm working on it.
Tempest 3D audio tech brings an unparalleled sense of immersion to the sound of the games. With audio so real, you may not even need to see the enemies to know exactly where they are. Finally, the DualSense controller has haptics that let you feel through your hands what your character is experiencing.
I never gave a shit about this. Imagine if they do that and they have like a controller, like, you know, like you're playing Mario Brothers, and they have a controller, and there's like little holes in it, and if you fall down, like spikes come out of it, and it just stabs through your hand. That's what they should do. Yeah, yeah. Wake me up when they do that. Yeah, to punish you for losing.
See such variety and richness of
That'd be great. Why? So you don't
amazing use of the hardware.
You don't die.
But when I talk to them, I do hear about their desire for more graphics performance. The dreams of the developers are bigger than can be supported at 60 frames per second, and that leads to an aspect of modern gaming that we're all familiar with: graphics modes. It can be a difficult choice for players. Fidelity modes emphasize the visuals, typically through higher resolution rendering. These modes might also have enhanced detail or use more ray tracing. But the games only run at 30 frames per second. The visuals can be choppier, and the controls less responsive. Performance modes emphasize frame rate and interactivity.
That's what I'm always about.
Typically choosing to run at 60 frames per second. Mainly by reducing the graphical detail until those frame rates can be achieved. When asked to
yeah, I mean, I'll definitely get one and try it out. I feel like it's about the same. It's 60. Yeah, I mean, I don't really see how, like... The thing is that right now, I don't think PC, like, PS5s, like, you've got to keep in mind that for a lot of people that play games, they don't really have a lot of technical knowledge to understand how to use a computer. like at the level that you need to like keep it up to date with gaming, right? With like drivers, having a graphics card, understanding the pieces in it. So like if you just buy a PS5 and like that's it, problem solved, that's really like super positive. Like I mean that's what you want to do, right? That's what consoles are made for. Those are the people that consoles are made for. I like it. $700 though. That's a lot of fucking money, man. That really is. That's a lot of money.
Side on a mode, players are choosing performance about 3/4 of the time.
Yeah, of
Removing
course.
that decision, or at least narrowing that divide, is one of the key targets for PlayStation 5 Pro. We want to give players the graphics that the game creators aspire to, at the high frame rates that players typically prefer. To do that, PS5 Pro substantially improves over PlayStation 5 in 3 ways. Here's what we call the Big 3.
Okay.
First, we made the GPU much larger and increased the speed of the memory it uses. The result is rendering that's up to 45% faster.
It's decent.
Second, we made major upgrades to the ray tracing, taking a streamlined and accelerated approach that allows calculation of the rays at double or even triple the speeds of PlayStation 5. And finally, we added custom hardware for machine learning.
Nice.
And an AI library called PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR for short. PSSR analyzes the game images pixel by pixel and can add an extraordinary amount of detail, which boosts the effective resolution of the games.
Okay, that's interesting.
Game creators are adding
So it's like DLSS for instead of frame rates, but for graphics. That's interesting.
PS5 Pro support to new and existing titles.
Yeah, that's
with the
actually
big
cool.
3 involved, the results can be pretty amazing.
PSSR.
With graphics showing
Look,
something like fidelity levels of detail, but it doubled the frame rate. Here's The Last of Us Part 2 running on PS5 Pro. It has huge amounts of detail and targets a super smooth 60 frames per second.
Yeah, sure.
Let's compare this to the fidelity mode on PS5, which is only running at 30 frames per second and is therefore much choppier.
Don't stop! We gotta lose.
This goal of delivering
Decent.
almost fidelity-like graphics at performance frame rates has been achieved for a broad set of titles, including Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Ratchet
See, the
and Clank.
concern that I always have with something like this is that when Demon's Souls came out, it ran at a smooth 60 FPS pretty much the entire time, and I had no problems with it. But then as obviously the graphics got better in the games and, you know, they became like more advanced in PS5, then it got worse. So it's like, why? It's like you're building a castle on sand, I think, with a lot of these like consoles where the game comes out or the console comes out and the current games run really well on it, but like after 2 years or so, then the console is like kind of dysfunctional after that, and it like starts to slow down, and the same problems manifest again. I feel like that's like the that's the rotation. No upgradability. Yeah, I mean there are a lot of advantages to having consoles, but
Apart. We can see that
you know,
PS5 Pro is close to doubling
I've
the
always
power of
I've
PlayStation
always
5.
been like a PC guy, right? Ever since I was like a kid.
Another way to compare the two consoles is to look at PS5 Pro versus Performance mode on PS5, both of which target 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
What we see here is a difference in detail. PS5 Pro is much sharper and crisper than PS5. For this, my favorite is the parade scene from Ratchet and Clank. Distant details are much clearer.
They're okay. I mean, I think it's like, this is, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Is somebody really gonna drop $700 for this? I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's not really worth it, right? I mean, like, I get that some people will, but like, I struggle to see much of a difference. I mean, we can all clearly see the difference, right? But that's a lot of money, man. Planned obsolescence. Can you test it out for us? Yeah, I will. I'll buy a PS5 Pro. Sure.
And here
Doesn't
we can see
matter to me.
Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is noticeably higher resolution throughout the scene, including the trees and procedural cars.
I guess so, like, the best way for me to do this would be
So overall,
the best way for me to do it would be if I had a PS5 Pro and I got 5 games that ran on, I bought a version of it on PC versus a version of it for PS5 Pro, and I compared them to like a 4090 gaming PC. I feel like that probably would be the best visualization, right? Because I don't think I can connect two PS5s at the same time to like really check like what the difference is. Cyberpunk, it has no games. Well, we don't know. What games would you be testing with? You could just compare it with a $900 PC as well. Oh, and this is the thing. I actually think for the value, a PS5 Pro will probably deliver you a better value than a $700 PC that you build yourself. If you are talking about video games exclusively. The difference is that PS5s can probably do, a computer can do a lot more stuff, right? For sure, right? 100%. So, like, it's not that consoles aren't worth it. It's that, like, it depends on, like, how much you value the other functionalities of a PC and how much you use a PC in general. Games on PC are cheaper, too. I don't know about that. Is that true?
All some remarkable improvement to the games. On PS5 Pro, we can see increased sharpness to the graphics or smoother and more responsive gameplay. This is the big three showing their value. As you've been seeing, machine learning via the PSSR library is being used quite broadly to add pixel detail and boost frame rate.
Yeah,
But there are as many approaches as there are game engines. The increase in raw GPU power is being especially effective for Horizon Forbidden West. Apart from the detail boost, that extra...
It's so weird to me that, like, I feel like this game is like what I would consider people. It's like an industry plant game. I always see every company talking about this game, but I've never seen somebody playing it. I've never even seen like a video of anybody being actually interested in it or caring about it, but I always hear people talking about it. Am I crazy? Like, I almost wanted to try it out and be like, why is everybody talking about this, but simultaneously nobody is talking about this? Yeah, it's just weird, right? And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's weird because like that seems like there's such a huge disparity.
Graphics power is allowing for improvements to lighting and visual effects.
Poster boy game, yeah. Well, now Astrobot is that game. Because this looks pretty cool.
As well as to the hair and the skin in cinematics.
Open up, guys. Drawer orders.
That looks really good.
Enough for me.
But do you guys see kind of like where my concern is coming from? Where it's like you're showing a bunch of games that came out years ago. Like, what's going to happen in 1 year? Isn't the PS5 Pro going to have the same problems that the PS5 has now?
Ray tracing is finding broad usage as well,
right?
Particularly when the games are focused on higher frame rates. The faster hardware in PS5 Pro can make a real difference. Allowing Gran Turismo 7 to add ray-traced reflections between the cars in gameplay, while continuing to support their targeted 60 frames per second. That boost in ray tracing...
I'm sorry, but like... I think Forza looks way better. This is like this... If you told me this was on the PS4, I would be like, yeah, I know that.
Is also delivering big wins for Hogwarts Legacy. Allowing...
Now, this one looks really nice. That's really, really nice.
Not only for better reflections and a greater variety of reflective surfaces, but also for further realism in the casting of shadows. I hope you've enjoyed this run-through of the technology behind PlayStation.
Yeah, they should have just showed fucking Hogwarts Legacy the whole time. That looks so much better.
PlayStation 5 Pro. Simply put, it's the most powerful console we've ever built, and a worthy addition to the PS5 family. Let me wrap this up.
Imagine if it wasn't the most powerful.
Look at a number of games running on the new console.
All right. Okay. All right.
Don't let me hang.
Game came out over a year ago. Well, this one is kind of new, but it's... Yeah.
Close your eyes. It'll be worth it.
Okay.
The Tower Knight. remember him.
Is this? What's with all the neon?
Man. The PS5 has so few games that they have to already resort to using trailers for games that haven't even released in order to fill out the catalog of games shown for the new fucking console. That's pretty fucking funny. I've got to say, it's pretty fucking hilarious to see that. That was Ghost of Tsushima? That was Ghost of Tsushima? I don't think so. Oh, was Yosuke? Yeah, I feel like 100%. That's what it was. Was that First Descendant? Hogwarts Legacy. Dragon's dog shit too. Yep. $700. Did you like Hogwarts? Yeah, it was alright. That's a lot of money, man. Like, let me think, let me actually look this up. Most expensive consoles at launch. The 10 most expensive consoles at launch. So we have the Wii U is $350. Sega Saturn, this one was nuts. This was a 32-bit system. This was crazy. I have one of these. Xbox 360 was $400. Turbo Graphics, this was super old. Yeah, and also keep in mind that, like, this is also the price that it was back then, as far as I know. So these are not being adjusted for inflation. So yeah, I mean, I bet this probably is like the same price of a PS5 Pro, like comparatively, because this came out in like what, like 98 or something like that. Oh, this is still expensive late 80s. I see, the 80s. Yeah, okay, there we go. And I thought it was even later than that. PS4 was $400. Xbox One was $500. PS3 was $600. Yeah, PS3 was crazy expensive. Neo Geo was $650. 3DO. I forgot all about this one. Philips CDI. $1,000. Wow. Back then, too. Yeah, the Neo Geo Blu-ray player. Yeah, well, that's one of the big things. Like, so PlayStation 3 was crazy because it had a Blu-ray in it. And, like, people were buying Blu-ray players at that time for, like, a few $100s by themselves. So, like, the fact that PS3 had this was, like, a huge value add. Because, like, this is what also PS2 did as well. Because the reason a lot of people bought PS2s for DVD players. And I think that PS3 did the same thing with Blu-ray. So, yeah. And old? Yeah, it was a while ago, right? But I remember a lot of these. And, yeah, I think that's at $650. Oh my god. So, yeah, I guess, basically, the PS5 Pro is tied for #2 most expensive console on release of all time, not adjusted for inflation. I think if it was adjusted for inflation, it would probably be, like, number, like, 7 or 8, realistically. Not tied. Well, I mean, it's $700, right? I mean, it's pretty much $700. They were $699.99. It's $700. So yeah, even that's crazy. It is. It's a lot of money. I think it's nearly $800. Yeah, this is insane, by the way. Fucking crazy $800 console. Sony fans are furious about the PS5 Pro. Are they really mad? Why would you be mad? Let me look at the responses to the PS5 Pro. Sony people are upset. It has 7.8K replies. And I'll go ahead. Let me go do this. Actually, let's look at the replies and then we'll look at the quote retweets. I think that's what makes sense. Very cool, but no disk drive. This makes a no-go. The euro is currently more valuable than USD, right? It's sending a pretty strong message. Yeah, Europeans don't deserve to use PlayStation. Sorry, guys. That's just that's what Sony wants to say. Were you drunk when you came up with these prices? PlayStation, we have no games. We've raised the controller price. We are getting rid of your physical media. We are basically Xbox in every way, just have more nostalgia. Now give us $700, you pay pigs, for the privilege of saying that you're a pay pig. You had $250 million to invest in garbage like Concord, but you couldn't afford to put a fucking disk drive on your flagship product? Are you trying to race against Ubisoft for bankruptcy? Will the PSVR 2 experience get any adjustments? Let's see any more of these.
$700! The PlayStation Pro is gonna cost you $700! Sony just announced that the Pro's releasing this November, and it's not cheap, which is why it's probably going to lead to the end of consoles. Here's why I think so. Everybody knows that PC gaming is going to give you the highest quality gaming experience possible. To put it simply, computers just more powerful. Everything runs at a higher quality, which is why computers are very expensive. A decent gaming computer is going to cost you $1,000.
Computers won't kill console gaming. Mobile will. It's not, no.
Well, PlayStations and Xboxes and Nintendo Switches have
It
always
already
been
has.
great, because while they're still not cheap, paying $200 to $300 was a lot easier and still allows you to have a great gaming experience. Now, as these consoles are getting more and more powerful, starting to get more competitive with PC gaming, the price tag is going up. The PS5 Pro, a diskless console that has a larger GPU, advanced ray tracing, and AI-driven upscaling, whatever that means, I honestly don't know, is naturally going to be more expensive. Makes me wonder if two things are going to happen. Consoles like Nintendo Switch are going to start to thrive, because it truly will be the only affordable console in the marketplace. As I can promise
they'll fix that. They're making a new one soon.
Xbox will always kind of be aligned with the PlayStation. But you're going to see PlayStation and Xbox prioritize the portable gaming space once again. Actually, Xbox never really prioritized it, but we all know the PSP era was iconic and would love to go back. Have the Portal out, which honestly, I love my Portal. Be psyched if they can find a way to make this usable without internet. Really do believe that's the next step for PlayStation and Xbox to stay competitive in the affordable market.
I think that if you're buying a PS5 Pro, you are outside of the affordable market. I don't think you're the target audience. I think PS5 Pros are for the people that buy expensive cars. You know, they're for the people that are enthusiasts about it. That's the reason why. So, like, I don't think that people are, like, a good gaming PC will cost you a lot more than $700. And there's like 3 extra steps that you have to do in order to make that gaming PC happen. So like in order to like 2K, I think 1,500, right? Like you can get a good gaming PC for $1,500. And if you get a good gaming PC, that also means that you need a monitor, and you need a keyboard, and you need a mouse, and you need this other stuff, right? And this is putting it together, like figuring out the pieces. I know that for a lot of us, look, I've built PCs before. A lot of you guys have probably built PCs before, but we're not the target audience for something like a console. The fact is that a lot of people aren't familiar with how to do it. They're afraid of it, and it makes them nervous. And that's why they either buy a pre-built PC, imagine that, and or they buy a console. So there's a huge market for stuff like this, right? Absolutely. So I don't really see console, like I don't see the price of this being actually competitive right now. But you're right about, like, somebody else brought up the fact that the PS3 and the PS2 had an extra value add. The PS5 doesn't really bring in any unique value in the same way that the PS3 having a Blu-ray or the PS2 having a DVD player, like, really brings. Like, what do you really... And didn't the PS1, long time ago, I might have forgotten, didn't the PS1 used to be able to play music, like a CD, like a music CD? So could Xbox? Yeah, but I'm talking about the PS1. The PS1 was in the 90s. Xbox came out in like 2000 or 2001. So like the PS1 was able to do it when other ones couldn't do it. So yeah, that's why it was really different. 1995, yeah, it was something like that, right? Very, very long time ago. But yeah, $700 for this rubbish. We're done. Wow. Did they learn nothing from... Bro, I'm gonna be real, like, this actually does give me a bit of nostalgia. See, that's the Sega CD, because I had this, and then, I don't know what this is here, and then you had the Game Genie, and then you would put the Sonic and Knuckles with Sonic 3 on there. Oh, man, this one's so fucking hard, man. God damn, the 32... Yeah, I actually had one of these. And, I didn't have this one, but I had the other ones. And, the Sega Tower of Power, exactly. And so, yeah, it looks like, holy shit, a lot of people are pretty unhappy about the price. I think that, again, this is only for people that are, like, very much enthusiasts. And not worth it to buy all the Ace Attorney games instead. I mean, I don't think that the PS5 really has a lot of games on it that really make it worthwhile. That's the way I feel about it. I just, unless you really like at least like 5 or 6 of the games, I just don't really see it, man. It's not one game. I think it's probably got, PS5 has, I would say, more than 5, but less than a dozen, like, massive flagship games, I think. Like, just off the top of my head. I'll be right back. Well, look, all I'm saying with the PS5 is like, I mean, if I think back to, like, the PS2, or I think about the PS3, or I think about, like, especially Nintendo consoles, there's so much value. And I just don't really see that with the PS5 right now. I don't. PS2 was crazy. PS2, in my opinion, actually, this isn't my opinion. It's an objective fact. It's the best console ever made. That's just everybody knows this. Everybody knows that that's the way it is. For sure. Yeah, it's not even remotely close. And this comes as somebody like, I was obviously like every guy, right, growing up grew up as a Nintendo fanboy, right? Like Super Nintendo that's my nostalgia console, right? And then, like I like N64 and etc. But if you look back on it and you really think about it, the greatest console ever was the PlayStation 2, and the second greatest was the Wii. I feel like if you really, in my opinion, those are the top 2 best consoles for like what they did. And I understand that people might not think the Wii is that important, or like the 360, but like, I was a Nintendo fanboy, and then I became an Xbox fanboy. Like, I actually had an Xbox book bag that I would use at school. And so I loved Xbox. I thought Xbox was awesome. And then I think that on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One era, then I moved over to PlayStation. And then I started liking PlayStation more. And right now, I actually think that for the value for every console, I would rather have, like, as a PC owner, I would rather have a PlayStation than an Xbox. But if I didn't have a PC, I would probably choose to have an Xbox. If I had to pick between Xbox or PlayStation. Because Xbox has a lot more offerings that I think are better, and I think Game Pass is a better value. Why? I do. Yeah, that's the reason why. And I just don't think that PS5 has enough value that comes with it to make the purchase worth it. That's my opinion, right? Game Pass is great. And I know PlayStation has their own version of that, PlayStation Plus or whatever. But personally, I think that if I had to choose, I would go with an Xbox. PS5 can play more games. It definitely... Well, can it play more games? I don't know about that. Yeah. It can. And better games? Maybe you're right. But I don't know. That's my opinion, right? So, yeah. This is deliberate. Companies aim to transition to fully subscription-based services. Their goal is to eliminate physical discs from the market. What they do is they make it increasingly tedious to enable to obtain a physical console game. Expect PS6 and PS7 to erase physical ownership completely. Yeah, we've really got to understand and figure out digital ownership soon, and there's no way it's going to happen, so people are just going to get fucked. Nintendo execs, knowing that they're about to destroy both Xbox and PlayStation and console sales, again when Switch 2 comes out after watching this. True. I feel like Nintendo consoles are the only ones that provide value, and like a Steam Deck provides value. I had it here next to me. I don't know where the hell it is, but yeah, I think Steam Decks are great too. Do you think the price will stop people from buying the PS5 Pro? No, I don't think so. I think that the PS5 Pro is not being marketed towards average audiences. It's only being marketed towards older people that have a lot of disposable income and already are big PlayStation fans. Like, the Pro editions of these consoles are not made for general audiences. They're made for enthusiasts. So it's like buying a car with a Hemi in it or something like that, right? It's like, this isn't made for the average person. This is somebody who's an enthusiast. They're going to be spending a lot of money on this, and they really care about it. It's rich parents to buy their kids. Well, I mean, $700. I mean, there's a lot of people, like, there are a lot of people that are broke, but there's a lot of people that aren't broke too. There's a lot of people out there that can spend $700. It's not a big deal for them, right? They make that much extra money just on average, right? It's not a lot. Yeah, like I would say like the upper probably 20% of the population can do that.